Welcome to the Never Ending Backlog podcast, your place for short reviews from a gamer with the goal of reducing his backlog. From adventures to sandboxes, join our host as we walk through a collection of unplayed treasures. Now, let's take a look at the featured game of this episode of the Never Ending Backlog.
Hello everybody, welcome to the Never Ending Backlog. We are ending the celebration of Sega's 60th anniversary with a brief playthrough of Sega Mega Drive and Genesis Classics on Steam. What a mouthful for a game title. There are many new games here and many familiar titles for me. It's a large collection of vintage games presented in a modern futuristic way. Released in 2010, this game collection has received quite a few positive reviews from Sega fans of all ages. So let's jump right in. What is it? Sega's collection of Mega Drive and Genesis Classics comes to a new generation, now updated with even more features, including online multiplayer, achievements, mirror mode, rewind, save states, VR, and more. Over 50 classic games in one great package. Get into the classics. For genre, it's classic games, whether it's platformer, adventure, strategy, RPG, etc. The developer is D3T Limited, which is a co-development group that provides work-for-hire video game development. They have worked on games such as Mafia 2, Human Fall Flat, Shenmue, and other properties. The publisher is Sega. So how much is it? Current price for all games is $10.66 on Steam. It includes 71 games, which is a great deal. That's 15 cents a game. A historical low was $7.49 on the Humble store, which would make it around 11 cents per game, an even crazier price. Now let's jump into the actual review. The game installed fine, it booted up in windowed mode, and the menu navigation certainly has a VR feeling to it, as you'd expect for somewhat of a VR supported game. It's actually a feature I never knew it had before this. I had recently purchased an Oculus Quest, which I used SideQuest, which is a kind of a side running application, to play it with my PC wirelessly through virtual desktop. Playing Half-Life Alyx with no cables is a pretty great experience and kind of gives me hope for the future of VR. And I've been slowly going through my collection to try out other games that I was unaware were VR. Unfortunately, my joy for VR quickly died again. The Oculus Quest is a garbage and buggy system. I'm sorry, I'm just going to flat out say it. I had such high hopes for it when it works, and it works pretty decent when it does work. However, the hardware and software on it are so poorly optimized, there is no justification calling it anything other than an alpha or early beta piece of hardware. I've had nothing but issues with this system. From the Oculus Link not recognizing a USB 3.1 port, the Wi-Fi on the Quest also never stays on. Not that it's not connecting or finding my network. When you turn to toggle the Wi-Fi on inside the software, it won't stay in the on position. It just keeps turning itself off before it can give me a list of Wi-Fi networks. This happens about once every 2 to 3 times. I've spoken with Oculus support multiple times, and their suggestion, reset the system and reinstall everything. So I do it, and it works for about a few days, and then the Oculus puts out another update, and it's back to being faulty again. I've tried to return it to the manufacturer, but they basically declined that multiple times. So I think my next purchase will be the Valve Index, which is unfortunate because I had such high hopes for it. And like I said, when it works, it works. But it's been frustrating. So, tangent aside, let's get back into the review. Graphics, your VR room is very nice. I'm viewing this on my monitor due to the Quest issue. There are a lot of details that are familiar as a game collector in the room. Even the lights on the game display shelf seem familiar. Plus, I'm taking a few cues on how I would better present my big box PC game collection. And if you want to know the experience of the room, think of they trend a lot on Pinterest and Instagram. There's all these illustrated and cartoon drawings of these old school rooms that you'd have in your 90s and 80s when you were a kid, and you had all these video game posters on the walls like that. That's kind of what this is like. It's like a VR version of that. It's really cool. It's like you're sitting in the room, which I think is nice. And even in, like I said, non-VR mode, you can still get the experiences, which is really nice. Every game is presented in a 4:3 aspect ratio, which is to be expected with classic console games. Every game looks really crisp, it runs smoothly, and it's what you'd expect from an emulator. The room design and layout is a very nice interactive way to handle an emulator experience as well, because basically you're clicking on different things in the room as menu items, which is cool in VR, I'm assuming. I haven't got to try it, but overall it's pretty neat. Audio, the Genesis had such a great audio experience, from the catchy music soundtracks in the Sonic games to the speaking voices in Altered Beast when you start a new game and God is saying, "Rise from your graves." It sounded just as good today as it did decades ago, plus the dying effect of your hero in Altered Beast still sounds like a kid spilling his milk in the lunch line in slow motion. So check it out. I guarantee that's what it sounds like. Controls, picked up the Steam controller right away, which was a pleasant experience, especially considering I wanted to try that out with the Oculus Quest through the cable this time, since the controller doesn't work, or I haven't tried it, I guess. Sync with the Oculus Quest headset. Unfortunately, with the link and everything, it's not working, so I wasn't able to try it. But the controller worked with the game with no issues. Difficulty, this depends entirely on the game that you play. Some are super easy, others are quite challenging. Altered Beast was much harder than I remembered it, and that used to be one of my favorite Sega games. Achievements, there are 25 achievements available. I haven't gotten any, but I haven't really played it that long. Pros, apparently this is available in VR, as I mentioned earlier, which I had no idea about, so that's a huge pro for me. There are a ton of great games. If you purchase the whole collection, you have plenty of choices for any type of mood you're in. And I'll say right now, I have the Sega Genesis Mini, as I mentioned earlier, and there's, 20 or 30 games. It's a good selection. This has 71 games, and there are a lot of odd games I had no idea even existed. That was really great. There's a huge selection of games. Definitely recommend this. If you like the Sega Genesis with Master, there's a lot here for you. Cons. The pricing was odd. Originally I had about 30 of the games, apparently. But I was able to buy 20 more just recently for $4. It has this a la carte purchase process. One that I'm not even remembering when I actually purchased it or where I would have gotten this from. So I have no idea where I received this from. It might have been Humble Bundle or Bundle Stars or Indie Gala. Who knows? Might have been a Steam sale. Doubt it, but it could have been. But it's just an odd purchase. You buy, you don't have to buy all the games. You can buy them all individually. If you're I just want Shinobi. That's all I want. I want Shinobi all day. You can do that. If you don't have VR, I'm sure people will enjoy it. However, the menu immersion of the navigation definitely seems that it was built for VR, and those without it might not enjoy it as much. However, I will note that it does not require VR to work effectively. It has a symbol launcher, is what they call it when you start it on Steam, that you can use, and it removes the room layout and instead allows you to cycle through all of your games effortlessly and just showing little video clips. Unfortunately, this is a garbage experience, and I am very disappointed in this one. The options in the simple launcher don't seem to apply. Even after you push apply, it kept pushing 5760 by 1080 for all games and forcing full screen, so you can imagine how wide stretch that was on a Sega game that's normally 4:3 ratio. And even though the VR-like experience pushed windowed mode, that seemed to work fine. So it's just so weird. After some messing around with it, finally worked. However, it's a super clunky system. Plus, when I was using my Steam controller in the VR windowed mode, and this is not even the VR game, you can play a virtual version, it's a windowed mode of the room, and you can kind of move your mouse around. Think of you're sitting in a room and you're just moving around like a first-person shooter. You can experience that without VR. It works perfect. That's what it actually defaults as. But in this mode, it's just like a config box window. You just swipe through all your games. But when I was doing the VR one, the Steam controller worked perfectly. I had no issue with it at all. But with the simple launcher, I had to completely remap everything. Even though the menu would allow me to use my Steam controller to choose the games and navigate the options. It seems like the VR, or not the VR, the room navigation and the simple function navigation are entirely separate systems, and the room design works so much better. I ended up, playing Altered Beast, Eternal Champions, which is a terrific fighting game, Vector Man 2, which I didn't even know existed, and that's a super odd game, I'll tell you what. Golden Axe, Echo the Dolphin, because can't play Sega without Echo the Dolphin at least once, and a few others, and there are certainly a lot to choose from. Like I said, there's 71 games in my library, which is insanity to think about. I do absolutely recommend this game. If you enjoy the Genesis, there's nothing like playing it on a Genesis. But for those that maybe can't find the games, or they don't want all the games, or they're just looking for digital releases of it, I think that's a cool idea. I'm sure VR works awesome. Like I said, the Quest has just been failing me lately, unfortunately, and hopefully my next VR system will rectify that situation. I think the VR thing is cool. I know there's like the virtual arcade games that I have that you can kind of explore virtual worlds and kind of feel like you're in this environment. This definitely has that feeling of like you're sitting in this video game collector's room. So I definitely recommend it, especially if you're a Genesis fan. If you like classic games, this is perfect for you. If you're looking for like an immersion VR effect, this probably will do it for you as well. But I mean, just remember, these are, 16-bit games. You're sitting on a couch basically playing these games, so it's not much different than putting it on a real TV and playing it that way, but it's a pretty cool effect. So anyway, that was my review of the Sega Mega Drive and Genesis Classics on Steam Collection, and hope you have a terrific day.